right, welcome back everybody. This is going to be part 2 of our Sony CDP-X33ES CD player we were working on a few weeks back. Did receive in the replacement capacitors. If you watched part 1, then you know we found out during that the audio section of this unit is plagued with capacitor cancer. All of the red ELNA caps are leaking and oozing their material, and of course it has resulted in one channel becoming distorted, so we're going to go ahead and just replace them all. I think we can skip all the formal intros since we did that last week. We will come in and just do a quick review and then we'll jump right in. Our intro music this week, we're listening to the 2002 Rush album entitled Vapor Trails, and in my opinion this would be the last album we would get from this great band to have this kind of signature Rush sound to it. The album was produced by Paul Northfield, I think is his name, and he had also done work for Queensryche and Dream Theater and a bunch of other bands kind of in this realm of music. Now the later 2 Rush albums that would come after this, they would go to what I would consider to be more relevant producers of the time, you know, that worked with bands of that time, and the sound would change a little bit. And unfortunately, they kind of lost me in the process. Not so much with Snakes and Arrows, but definitely with that Clockwork Angels album. I just did not seem to be able to find anything I could grasp onto with that record. And so we'll go ahead and play a little bit of my favorite song from this one. This is called Earthshine. All right, we'll come back in real quick and do a quick review of where we've been and where we're going. This section right here is the one that we're kind of dealing with. All of this portion of the circuit board containing these red ELNA, apparently Durex capacitors. Hopefully I pronounced that right. These all have to be changed. Last video I jumpered in a couple of my own caps just to see if I could get the audio on that one channel cleared up. It did clear up with no trouble, and so therefore we're going to go ahead and switch out everything in this section here. I also got the 2 larger ones. Now these 2 black ones are also under this Durex ELNA name. I did not order these, but we're going to pull these out and we're going to take a look at them. We'll measure them with the ESR meter, but definitely going to check and make sure they're not leaking any material out, and I don't believe that they are, so that's why I didn't order those. But if we find those leaking, I do have a couple of very good used capacitors we will be putting there. Otherwise, I think it's all pretty straightforward. I'm not going to film the entire deal of me changing all of these caps. I think we counted about 22 caps here, but we'll do a couple sections of them, and then we'll do the final shot with all of them, and then we'll do a final playback test in the time waiting for those capacitors to arrive. I went ahead and kind of did a little maintenance to the mechanism, kind of cleaned that up a little bit, and that all seems to be fine anyway, but just a little preventative maintenance. And as for replacement capacitors, got these from DigiKey. DigiKey is a great source for these. They're absolute 100% guaranteed authentic materials, nothing generic. And I ordered replacement Panasonics for most of this. And of course, the go-to capacitor seems to be Nichicon, according to the internet. But I can't tell you how many ooey gooey oozing Nichicon caps I have pulled out of pieces of equipment before. So they're not the first thing I go to for capacitors usually. If I have to order them, it's usually a Panasonic is what I go with. And had pretty good luck with those. So I'm going to go ahead and get the camera set up overhead, and we'll start by taking out the two black ones just to double check and make sure there's no trouble there, and then we'll jump on these two guys first right here. So give me a second for that and we'll come back. Okay, so we'll go ahead and pick back up. Got the unit flipped upside down here. That way we got access to the bottom side of the board. And the first of those two larger capacitors is right here. The second one is on the other side of this little brace down inside there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this one as the kind of test. If this one looks okay, I'm not going to mess with taking the other one out. So let's go ahead and get that one out. We're just going to use a little solder wick for that, and it should come right out. I really don't anticipate there to be any trouble with these. All right, could be my optimism talking, just because I don't want to have to take out that brace and get the other one out. Just kind of press down on it a little bit and it should just fall, maybe. Okay, we'll clean those up. Now it should be waiting for us on the other side. And there it is, perfect. There isn't anything wrong with that. And of course, this thing. Let's back off a little bit. There we go. Well, yeah, there is nothing. It's completely dry. If anything, no, there's nothing there. Let's get the ESR meter and we'll ESR it and see what that looks like. Ooh, let's back up a little bit here. And it's pegging. And I think my batteries might be just a little bit weak in this, because if we cross the probes, then that's what happens. And so I think we're just fine. All right, we'll go ahead and solder this capacitor back up. Went ahead and pause things while I got it stuck back in there, but we're going to have to reach underneath and push up on it. And the reason for that is they cut off the one leg of it kind of short. And so we're going to push up while we're doing this. There we go. Now we should be able to get enough solder on that short leg to hold it in place the way I want it to be. And that looks pretty good there. I'd say we're okay. Now I'll be interested in when we take out the larger red ones, if there's any problem with those. And those are right here. So let's kind of come in and get those out. And it'll be interesting to see if there's any leakage on these. I couldn't see anything, but that doesn't mean there couldn't be. But regardless, these will be changed. And that one just fell out, and this one's still kind of hanging on there. But it won't take much to get it out. Let's go ahead and get them over. Let's get them picked up and see. I don't know. I don't see anything coming out of them. But still, now that we got them out, it looks like Durorex 2. Elna Durorex 2 is what these are. Got a good look at them now. And this camera is not cooperating, but yeah, they're dry. Well, that one is. This one is too. This is the second one. And just for the hell of it, we'll do the ESR. Oops. I'm sure there isn't anything that we're going to find here. These are going to peg this meter too. And it does. But you can tell that they've dropped a little bit in value, even with the batteries being bad in that, I can tell. Yeah, a little bit. All right. And those are the 470 at 63, which is these guys right here. And that's a nice looking capacitor right there. All right. I'll go ahead and cut it off, and then we'll pick back up after I changed a few of them out. So give me a second for that, and we'll come back. All right, we're going to pick back up for a status update on what's going on. Made a little progress. Started off with changing the two large ones over here. And then we changed the 200 mic at 63 volt there, followed by 400 mic at 25 volt there. And of course, all along me changing these, I've been cleaning up the board, cleaning the holes where all the leakage occurred. Then we come down here. These two caps and this guy here and this guy here I got from my friend because I didn't want to have to wait. And he had these brand new in stock. They're not Panasonic, but they're still a brand he's been using for a long time, so we should be fine there. I'd venture to say anything we put in this would be better than what was there. So I'm left with just the 500 mic at 25 volt ones here. And on the other side of the board, let's go ahead and we'll flip this thing over. Cleaning up all of the nastiness under here. And also, we had one trace here that you can see, and this camera's not going to zoom in far enough. But you can see it got real black in there on that ground trace, so I went ahead and ran a jumper from point to point just for reinforcement, which should be okay. Also went ahead and cleaned off these pins of this IC, desoldered them, put them back, soldered it all back. And we did have one trace that was damaged right there, and so I just bent the lead over to the next available pad and soldered it to that as well. But it's all coming together pretty good. Like I said, we only have just a few caps left to change, and then we would be done, and we can move on to some testing with it. But yeah, it's all coming together pretty good. So give me a few minutes, and we'll pick back up with the completed shot of everything, and get ready to wrap this one up. right, picking back up on day 2, getting the literal money shot here. All of his caps changed out, everything looking very nice. All the goo and the goop dried up. All the solder touched up beautifully underneath. And this unit is working excellent. Did have a chance last night to check into the tray belt situation. Couldn't find any reason to change it. Looking real good, no dry rot. Still got very good elasticity to it. So we're not gonna make him wait for a belt to arrive. We're gonna go ahead and ship it as is. I think he's gonna be just fine there. But it's a very nice CD player. Everything working real nice. Well, I guess at this point we're gonna go ahead and get the bottom and the top, everything put back together, and we'll do one final play test on this real quick, and we'll put this one to bed. So give me a second for that, and we'll come back. Well, all right, as we bring to a close our Sony CDP-X33ES, I want to thank you guys very much for checking out the video, as well as all the videos on the channel. Hopefully one of them's helped you along the way with something you might be working on. If not, definitely not a bad way to waste a little bit of time, especially since some of us have a little time to waste these days with the whole pandemic, quarantine, lockdown thing going on. But as far as this CD player is concerned, I think we did a pretty good job swapping out all of the leaking capacitors. I'm not a big fan of bulk recaps when it's not necessary, but in this case it was totally justified. They were all leaking. There was only a couple that didn't show any signs of leaking, but we went ahead and grouped them in with a bunch that were leaking as a preventative measure. So when I look at this CD player, just kind of like that Nakamichi one we worked on last week, I start thinking about what I might want to hear in this. And what I picked out is the 2000 album by Kansas entitled Somewhere to Elsewhere. And they brought back everybody for this, I think. Harry Livgren, Steve Walsh, Robbie Steinhardt, and the album was even recorded in Kansas. So let's have a listen to the lead track on the way out. This is entitled Icarus 2.
And now we're here, it's happened, this is what I feared. Something's telling me my time has come. Though it should be panic, I can feel a beat. Strangely now I know my purpose. Hey boys, hey, get out while you can. Try to take us home. I'm going.